What you have to tell them if them not listen Arawak radio?
I want to hear that.
And what you have to tell them if them not listen Ziggy Natulus on Arawak radio?
I honestly don't remember.
And what you mean by that?
I honestly don't remember.
You're wobbling, son. You are wobbling. And what you have to tell him, her, and all of them if them not listen Ziggy Natulus on Arawak radio?
It's really pretty tough. Pretty tough to say still.
That the one they call.
How about that? How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Here's an our rude boys. Respect. Check it out.
Marcus Garvey words come to pass. Marcus Garvey words come to pass. Can't get no food to eat. Can't get no money to spend. Oh, can't get no food to eat. Can't get no money to spend. Come little one, oh, let me do what I can for you. And you, hello. Come little one, come. Oh, let me do what I can for you and you alone. Oh.
This is Kevin Rames for Caledonia Communication Corporation. This presentation is one in a series of speeches and statements of the great Pan-Africanists of modern history. These men left a legacy which is too often unknown or ignored. You cannot shape your destiny without knowledge of your history. These are the words of Marcus Garvey. Self-reliance and respect. The Universal Negro Improvement Association teaches our race self-help and self-reliance, not only in one essential, but in all those things that contribute to human happiness and well-being. The disposition of the many to depend upon other races for a kindly and sympathetic consideration of their needs, without making the effort to do for themselves, has been the race's standing disgrace, by which we have been judged and through which we have created the strongest prejudice against ourselves. There is no force like success, and that is why the individual makes all efforts to surround himself through life with the evidence of it. As of the individual, so it shall be with the race and nation. The glittering success of Rockefeller makes him a power in the American nation. The success of Henry Ford suggests him as an object of universal respect. But no one knows or cares about the bum or hobo who is Rockefeller's or Ford's neighbor. So also is the world attracted by the glittering success of races and nations, and pays absolutely no attention to the bum or hobo race that lingers by the wayside. The Negro must be up and doing if he will break down the prejudice of the rest of the world. Prayer alone is not going to improve our condition, nor the policy of watchful waiting. We must strike out for ourselves in the course of material achievement, and by our own effort and energy present to the world those forces by which the progress of man is judged. These were the words of Marcus Garvey.
I say, yo, chap, did you know that Ziggy Natulus is on Arawak radio at this moment?
Hell yeah.
And did you know he is also playing some classical tunes?
Hell yeah.
And did you also know?
No one remember old Marcus Garvey. 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 No one remember him. No one talking about Papoose.
May I say something to you to give you a true knowledge of yourself and life, so that the same glory and success attained by other men who understand themselves may be yours? Man in the full knowledge of himself is a superb and supreme creature of creation. When man becomes possessor of the knowledge of himself, he becomes master of his environment, the captain of his own ship, the director of his own destiny, the accomplisher of his own ends. Man should understand himself because man is full of knowledge, and this knowledge is a gift of nature. When Mother Nature created man, she deprived him of nothing. He was given the faculty of understanding all things around him. This faculty for understanding has not been taken away from him. None of his senses have been taken away from him. So there is no excuse for the black man in lacking the knowledge that man is used to beautify the world and produce all that he needs for his happiness and civilization. Look the world over, and whatever you see in it that is pleasing to man, contributing to man's comfort, to his needs and to his satisfaction, it is but the work of man. Man blessed with the knowledge of himself and the understanding of all things around him. If you are able to live with the knowledge of yourself and with the greater knowledge of nature, you must know what is good and what is not. You must know what is finite. You must know that which is material, physical, and otherwise is at your disposal to create or otherwise use.
What you have to tell them if them not listen to rock radio?
This is a bad luck.
And what you have to tell them if them not listen Ziggy Natulus on our radio?
For we've been traveling, more than 2,000 miles, more than 2,000 miles. Can't get no, shady tree, race, can't get no shady tree, the sun's so red hot, hotter than hot. Let me tell you, this is the song we were singing, coming along, oh yes, coming along, oh yes, coming along, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Wappa to the why, to the wap wap why, you wappa to the why, to the wap wap why, wappa to the why, to the wap wap why. This is the song we were singing.
If we leave America and go over to the east to Japan, they will be telling their fellow citizens of Japan of the wonderful accomplishments of the Japanese people, proving that man is moving onward as time moves on. But you have hated yourselves as you have done in previous years. You have shown malice, prejudice, and hate to each other. And the result is that while other races have made progress, while India has made progress towards nationalism, while Ireland has made progress towards republicanism, while the whole world has made progress in man's accomplishments, you still stand fighting yourselves, dishonoring yourselves, showing no disposition toward that higher life so that you will be abundantly blessed. So reflect and think that you were created for some purpose other than exhibiting malice toward your neighbor or fellow men of your own race. What a pity it is that we cannot stand united without a written law. There is no written law compelling other races to stand together. They are brought together by the gentle touch of nature. The unwritten law of nature causes them to stand together on all occasions. So wheresoever you find them in the field, that one gentle touch of nature causes them to stand together, if need be, die together. But with the black man, you can preach to him from the pulpits. You lecture from the platforms, from the byways and the hedges. The spirit of cooperation, but he will not cooperate. You talk to him gently, you try talking harshly to him, he still will not cooperate. The result is that he falls prey to those who understand themselves and walk through the world making you their serfs and slaves. You must acquire an understanding of yourselves. Look around you. See the smiling pictures of nature, the beautiful hedges, the wonderful mountains, the wonderful vegetation all around. But because of your disposition to each other, you live in suffering, in want, in penury, and in debt. You lack the gentle touch of nature, love for each other. You hate yourselves. Black men, and what is wrong with you? Why have you no affection for yourselves? Could I hope to see you living among yourselves as the people I've spoken of? Living in charity, love, and in sympathy with each other? It can be done. I wonder if you will adapt that course. Isn't it easier to enjoy prosperity than to live in ignorance and darkness? Why select the worst out of nature? Nature never gave pain, suffering, and death to the world. It was man himself who selected death, pain, and sorrow. I wonder if I cannot inspire you to select between good and evil. Let me impress upon you once again that whatsoever your hardships may be, whatsoever your difficulties in life, they are your own selection. And so if you encourage them, if you husband them and take them to your bosom, they will abide with you.
Me no know about you, me no know about them, me no know about him and me no know about her. But me know me, and me I listen to Ziggy Natulus on Rock Radio. Let it go.
Do you remember the days of slavery? 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 And the people. Do you remember the days of slavery? And the work was so hard. Do you remember the days of slavery? And they used us. Do you remember the days of slavery? Till they refuse us. Do you remember the days of slavery?
Nature will not take them away from you as Mother Nature did not give them to you. She is not responsible for your sorrows. Mother Nature represents all that is beautiful. She gave you the highest personality in the realm divine. Your sorrows are your own. If you want joy, if you want sunshine, it is before you abundantly in nature. I made a selection of sunshine, the beautiful sunshine. I made a selection to laugh with the moon, to laugh with the stars, and sing with the birds of the forest and of the wilderness, to join in the rhythmic music of the winds that sing from east to west and from north to south. Had I selected sorrow, I would have been dead a long time ago, and been without that which would send me into the presence of the divine, because I would have lived not with the knowledge that is divine. We must acquire the higher knowledge of life, but it's because you fail to use your will, your knowledge and your mental faculties to the point where you will enjoy life around you. I'm only here and not in the gutters and in the pond of despair because I use my intelligence. And I swear that no man alive shall ever use his intelligence in understanding the works of nature more than I. I shall rise as high as he ascends. I shall meet him on the same platform of mental equality and fight him till thy kingdom come, because nature created us equal.
Ziggy Natulus, I don't know if them have hard days.
Now get an update, I'm gonna show you something.
Get up! My way is long, but the road is far. My way is long, so long, but the road is far. It never sway, my heart never lit, I never have no favorite. My head never swell, my heart never lit, I never have no favorite. Even though they were chasing, so body, yeah, they hardly see. Jaja is my eyesight. Be with I, be with I. Be with I, Jaja. Jaja, be with I. I. They am them that hate I. They am them that fight against I. Some of them are judge and wrong police. Never mind my brother, I will go out. Road is a body. Road is a body.
I want you to make up your mind as I've made up my mind years ago. Make up your mind that you will rise to the knowledge of your soul. Because of your ignorance, you cannot understand and decide between good and evil. You don't know whether you're doing right or wrong. With a greater knowledge of life, you're able to appreciate all things around you. I'm able to gather you here because I understand you. Understand your neighbor, your wife, your children, and you will be able to live in harmony with each other and get the best out of life.
Hey yo, no dig this and take my silly advice.
What you say?
Take my silly advice. If you're there at work right now and you're not listening to a rock radio,
render your heart and not your garment. The truth is there for who have eyes to see. Partiality has no place in this judgment. Remember the words of prophecy. Children run, come to truths and rights. That's what I'm about. You know the truths and rights. Teach it to the children. You know the truths and rights. Teach it to the children, 'cause they should know. No, 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 no.
Cause we not take a stock, cause the king is a chopper to the very long chopper. When I play this non-stop, look the shock attacker, yeah. The automatic pistol remote control. The automatic pistol remote controller. From this a little song come fi rock your soul. The automatic pistol say a one get clapper. The girl madam mouche tango sat up in all up on that and they chop. Quand that and they chopper. Because the outer girl with pistol bag why you get clapper. For outer girl with pistol bag why you get clapper. The girl madam mouche tango sat up in all up on that and they chop. And that and they chopper. Can we say
So the musical part cover. Sound it again. Sound it one more time.
not the one they call sound it.
Oi!
What the going on?
How's it going, mate?
I am happy.
What you saying, son?
Sweet as a nut, my son.
I'm saying there's a couple of quid. I'm here listening to Ziggy Natulus on our radio.
He's a right geezer, a right ice cream freezer.
The man's sound is a pound. Playing a couple of them banging tunes and all that. You know what I'm saying, my son?
Fantastic.
Yeah, he's Diamond Geezer, innit? You know what I mean?
It's brilliant, mate. It's brilliant.
You're having a buck?
You better log on as well, mate. It's man fantastic.
Yeah, I'm fine, mate.
Musically brilliant. It's sweet as a nut.
Good evening. We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin.
Did you know there was a time in America when the color of your skin determined where you sat on a bus, which water fountain you could drink from, and what school you went to? It was called segregation. Segregation kept black people and white people apart. Many people thought segregation was unfair, and they fought to change segregation laws. One of those courageous people was Rosa Parks. This is her story.
Rosa was born at a time in America when African Americans did not have the same basic rights as other citizens. To understand why, you have to travel back hundreds of years to when slavery existed in America.
The first Africans were taken from their homes in Africa, placed in chains, and brought as enslaved people. Rosa was born Rosa Louise Macaulay in 1913. She was the granddaughter of an enslaved person. Slavery was illegal. But America was still a place where African American people did not have basic rights and freedoms. In the southern states, new laws were passed to keep blacks and whites apart. It was known as segregation. The laws were called Jim Crow laws. Jim Crow was a popular fictional character that was very insulting to black people. Jim Crow laws were made to keep black people and white people apart on trains, in restrooms, in schools, and restaurants too. Many people fought to end segregation laws, but in 1896, the Supreme Court ruled that separating or keeping blacks and whites apart was legal. It was known as the Separate but Equal Doctrine. Even worse than the Jim Crow laws was the violence. African Americans were always in danger, especially from groups like the Ku Klux Klan. They wore white sheets so no one would know who they were. They would terrorize and threaten African American families. Rosa remembered when she was young, sitting with her grandfather. At night, he would hold his gun by his side just in case he needed to defend his family from the Klan. Rosa always had a sense of what was fair and what wasn't. One day, a white boy threatened to beat her up, but she defended herself and threatened to hit him.
Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Preacher man, don't tell me heaven is under the earth. I know you don't know what life is really worth. It's not all that glitter is gold. Half the story had never been told. So now you see the light. Hey, stand up for your right. Come on, get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight.
At that time, Rosa could have gotten in trouble for standing up to a white person. Even at an early age, Rosa had the courage to stand up for herself.
Eventually, Rosa and her family moved to Montgomery, Alabama. There, she learned all about segregation. There, black people had to ride in the back of the bus, and they could only drink from certain water fountains labeled colored. It was difficult and dangerous for African American people to vote in the South. But even though it was difficult to do, Rosa Parks tried several times to register to vote. At first, the registrar made her take a test, but never told her the results. She took the test a second time. This time, they said she didn't pass. But Rosa didn't give up. She took the test a third time and finally did pass. Nothing would stop Rosa from her right as a citizen to vote. One day, on the way home from registering to vote, Rosa got on a bus. She went through the front door and paid her fare. But according to the law in Montgomery, Rosa, being a black person, had to step off the bus and re-enter by the rear door. The back was so crowded, Rosa decided to walk through the bus to get to the back. The bus driver became angry and told her to get off and enter by the back door. Rosa refused, and the bus driver pulled on Rosa's coat sleeve, which caused her to drop her purse. Instead of bending down to pick it up, Rosa sat down in a seat reserved for white people only. The bus driver became even more angry and kicked Rosa off the bus. On December 1st, 1955, Rosa Parks was on her way home from her job at a department store. She took the same bus she always took, but she didn't realize that the driver was the same one that had kicked her off the bus years before. After paying her fare, Rosa took a seat in the middle section of the bus. That was okay as long as there weren't any white people to occupy the seats. She sat next to a black man. 2 black women were sitting across the aisle. At the next stop, some white people got on and filled up the remaining seats. But one man was left standing. The driver looked back and saw him. Nobody moved.
Let me have those seats. Y'all better make a lot on yourselves and let me have those seats.
The 2 women sitting across the aisle and the man sitting next to Rosa got up. But Rosa didn't. She was tired of giving in and being mistreated.
Are you gonna move?
No.
Then I'll have to have you arrested.
You may do that. Eventually, 2 policemen came and asked Rosa why she wouldn't get up.
Why don't you do as you're told and get up?
Why do you all push us around?
I don't know, but the law is the law and you're under arrest.
Rosa was arrested and taken to jail.
The NAACP had wanted to challenge the bus laws for many years. Now they had their opportunity. They called for all blacks to boycott or stop using the buses in Montgomery on the day of the trial to show support for Rosa. Inside the courthouse, Rosa had her trial. She was found guilty of not obeying the segregation laws. Outside, the boycott was successful. The buses were empty.
That night, black leaders along with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. formed the Montgomery Improvement Association. They held a meeting. Everyone at the meeting voted to continue the boycott if the city council did not change the segregated bus laws. The city didn't change the laws, so the boycott continued for another 13 months. Instead of riding the buses, people walked, took cabs, or shared rides. A lot of people lost their jobs, including Rosa and her husband. Then, the Montgomery City Council enforced an old law that said boycotts were illegal. So Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks were arrested. The arrest brought a lot of attention to the peaceful boycott. Soon, there were bus boycotts in cities throughout the South. Eventually, Rosa's case went all the way to the Supreme Court. The court decided that the law under which Rosa had been arrested was unconstitutional or illegal. Segregated buses became a thing of the past. 9 years later, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It made segregation in all public places illegal everywhere in America. It was now illegal to discriminate or show prejudice against anyone because of race, color, religion, nationality, or gender. Prejudice is a negative attitude towards an entire group of people.
Rosa's refusal to give up her seat on the bus had started protests throughout the country. Her courageous act of defiance helped to change America. Today, she is remembered as the mother of the modern-day civil rights movement.
Hey yo, I'm Ziggy Natulus I speak, you know. Who you think it was, Father Christmas? Well, before me give you that, hear this first.
I want to say big up to all of you lot out here, to all my peeps out there that you has learnt something and at least taken away one thing, whether it is that you think it is alright to watch the National Geographic channel, watch 2 elephant boning like this man does. You at home, make up your own mind. Keep it real, peace.
Hasta la vista, baby.